So the date right now, it's July 12th. It's 5:49 p.m. in the afternoon. It's almost the evening. I'm heading out to play some volleyball and then some hockey. Got a lot of drop-in stuff going on here because it's the summer, baby. Gotta go out there. Mock girl summer, am I right? Am I right? But today I wanted to talk about some stuff that has been popping up on my Vancouver Canucks-based timeline on Twitter. Mostly due to a lot of Canucks fans that have been more so concerned? Is that the right word? I guess concerned, maybe a little bit more antsy about the current Vancouver Canucks regime and some comments that Jim Rutherford, president of hockey operations, made on a few interviews. You have a piece written by Ian McIntyre on Sportsnet.ca. You also have the Donnie and Dolly segment that was summarized on Twitter by Rick Dollywall, pretty much highlighting the Canucks president of hockey operations perception heading into this free agency period. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm recording this audio on the 12th, man. Free agency hasn't happened yet. The Vancouver Canucks have not made a move. They have not signed anybody. They have not made any big trades yet. Now, sure, they have made some interesting decisions so far, like deciding to let Matthew Highmore, Juho Lammikko, and all of them go and not qualify their RFA rights, but either way, we are going over firstly onto Ian McIntyre's piece on Sportsnet.ca, Canucks free agency preview with limited cap space. Building depth is the priority here for Vancouver. What we're going to do is read over some of the comments that Jim Rutherford made, just kind of dissect what they mean and why some Canucks fans might be a little bit concerned as to everything that's going down. Rutherford said, heading into the free agency period, that the team has not cleared as much cap space as we would have liked to. We'll be active on Wednesday to a certain point, but we're not going to be in on the big guys, the real big guys. We'll look for complementary players and build more depth and things like that. But we're not in the position that we had hoped to be at this point in time. So, anybody who's going out there saying, hey, Johnny Gaudreau to Vancouver, hey, Evgeny Malkin to Vancouver, probably calm down with that because unfortunately it does not look like the team is going to be able to go down those avenues. But either way, it is quite interesting to note how the Vancouver Canucks, quote, are not in the position they had hoped to be at this point in time right now. This is mostly because heading into the draft, we all kind of had an idea that the Vancouver Canucks would probably try to free up a lot of cap space. I mean, you have some guys in the market like Tyler Myers, you have JT Miller, some other players that could fetch some decent returns, maybe not the best returns in the world, but some returns that could free up some salary cap space that way, but the Vancouver Canucks did not do anything at the draft. No Miller trade, no Myers trade, no whatever trade. They just stayed put, and Jim Rutherford is like, yeah, we thought we'd be better off at this point, but we're not, so we're gonna have to be careful as we maneuver into the next few days here. I saw some people going out there and being concerned, saying, oh, you know, the team said they were going to do one thing and they didn't do it, but, like, isn't this just what Benning did? Like, he kept on saying that he liked draft picks and he wants to trade for draft picks and free up cap space and everything, but Benning would always do the opposite. Isn't this sort of deja vu right here? And it's only been a few months, people. I really don't think it's fair to compare 8 years' worth of Jim Benning mistakes to what the new Alvin and Rutherford management has had to deal with so far. You also have this idea that he says here, you can clear up cap space if you're giving up assets, but we are trying to build assets. So, you know, we get a little bit caught up here. At this point, we've just decided to let it run its course until a trade potentially comes along and does that, but it's not going to come along prior to the first day of free agency. So, I feel pretty confident recording this video on July 12th, 5:55 p.m., and uploading it tomorrow that there's not going to be any significant Canucks trades between now and the upload date of this video. Maybe by the time free agency actually opens up, we'll have something to talk about, but then we'll just make another video about that, so this video might be a little bit outdated at that point. He also talks a little bit about the idea of making big trades. Ian McIntyre opens up this discussion by talking about JT Miller and how the Vancouver Canucks did not trade him away at the NHL draft. He says, I always feel that when you really want to make a deal bad, there's a good chance you'll make a bad deal. As we're going through this process with the number of prospects we have, different things that we have to deal with, the cap to unravel, I think it's important to be patient and try to make as few mistakes as possible. And that's what we're doing. Now, you know what? I saw some people concerned about the Canucks. This quote is the reason why I am not concerned. We have Jim Benning, who was so impatient in previous years that he kind of got ahead of himself making these trades. Tyler Madden for Tyler Toffoli. You have the OEL Connor Garland first-round pick deal with Beagle, Eriksson, Roussel, and all that stuff. That wasn't a great trade either from a cap management point of view. You had so many trades that Benning did. Heck, you could even say the JT Miller trade, the first one, the Marek Mazanich first-round pick and the third for JT Miller from Tampa Bay. You could say that trade was somewhat short-sighted too. Now, obviously, hindsight is 20/20, but the point is, we didn't realize that JT Miller would be a 100-point player a few years after that trade. We all just kind of thought, okay, he's going to be a 40, 50, maybe 60-point guy if he's lucky, and that's kind of what we're getting here. So, Benning made those moves a lot in the past, where he kind of sacrificed the long-term future, and he really did sacrifice some cap availability for assets in the now, and not even just the now, but like the immediate, okay, this season kind of now. Now you have yourselves a team that is sort of strapped to the cap in the ways that they are, and Rutherford is saying, if we really want to force a trade, we try to do something to improve the roster, open up some cap space, whatever, you're probably going to make a bad trade, so don't force it, let things come to you, and I guess that kind of eases my mind a little bit when I think about the idea of a Miller trade, because what's the one thing I've been saying this entire time for the past few months? If you do trade away JT Miller, the one thing you absolutely cannot do is settle. This is a top quality asset here. He had 100 points. He had 99 points, but like, he had 100 points. Like, you cannot make a trade with this type of player and expect to just say yes to whatever return is offered to you. You have to be able to select and pick and choose the right assets involved. Now, we have had some rumors as well saying that there might not have just been too many teams that are interested or that would have been willing to give up a price that the Canucks would have felt comfortable with. And to that, I say it's kind of good that Rutherford is not forcing it, because if he did, you probably just end up making a bad trade, you know? 100-point player. You don't want to give him up for, I don't know, just a first-round pick and another roster guy. Like, I'm sorry, but all of the trade rumors of, okay, it's just Kerfoot and Sandin that can get it done. Like, no, that's not going to get it done. Like, you have to actually give value here. Rutherford and Alvin are not going to budge. And so, while I am concerned about the idea of the Canucks going into the regular season with JT Miller, especially if he's unsigned, I don't really feel too bad about it right now. Mostly because of the care and caution that Rutherford has placed within it. Now, let's go over onto Twitter and see some other comments that Rutherford made. This is what Cody Severson says. Richo asks Rutherford about the team's desire to upgrade the D, citing the massive RFA-UFA market and potential of finding bargains. Rutherford cites the suffering fan base and then says he's willing to maybe sign veterans to short-term fixes to push them towards the playoffs. Now, Cody puts the red flag emoji right here because it's like, hey, Benning did that. Beagle, Eriksson, Roussel, that's the exact thing that we saw out of these players. But I hope that Rutherford goes out there and does not go down that route. If he does sign a veteran player to a short-term deal, I do hope it's short-term, like 1 year long or whatever. But, of course, nothing like that is ever guaranteed. We also had Grady, who said this: enough with comparing the Benning regime to Rutherford and Alvin. This new management group is being patient, something the last regime was not. I'd rather them take their time and not rush into an underwhelming return for Miller. Patience, Canucks fans. Patience. We also had what Rutherford said to Rick Dhaliwal about JT Miller. We're not frustrated. A month before the trade deadline, if he has not moved, that is stressful, but not right now. We've had no offers for JT, and no one has asked to talk to his agent about a contract. Now, that last part, I don't know how I feel about that last part, man. I don't know if that really aligns with all the other reports that we had seen, whether or not the Islanders were involved in a JT Miller trade, but it got nixed because the Canucks would not let them talk to his agent, or whether or not there actually was an offer in the first place. We had some New York Islanders beat reporters in that bubble say that there was a JT Miller trade idea floating around with the Islanders. So for Rutherford to say this to the media, we've had no offers for JT, no one has asked to talk to his agent, I feel like that's just kind of smoke and mirrors, but whatever. It is what it is. We'll take that at face value. He also talked about a few other things that might actually be outdated by the time this video was uploaded. Oh, we're looking to balance our forward group. Do we get a top 6 forward who pushes someone down? Do we want to make the top 12 better? Etc., etc. There are a few other comments here made by Rutherford on players that are already there, but we'll see how everything goes down tomorrow, or at least you already know how everything happens because this video will be uploaded at 3 p.m. PST on Wednesday, July 13th. But for now, JT Miller, trade, no trade, whatever, at least they're not rushing into it, and at least they're being patient, and at least they're being open with the idea that, yeah, no, we just kind of didn't move as much money out that we wanted to move. That's our bad, but we're gonna make sure we do this properly heading into the next few days here. I like it a lot more than when Benning said, yeah, no, we ran out of time to sign Tyler Toffoli, because I feel like that's a lot more of a different circumstance, isn't it? Talk to me in the comments on your thoughts, though, about Rutherford and his comments. I hope you enjoyed this British Trolls 99, and bye.